Understanding by Design is really a process designed by Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins that was put in place to help teachers assure that their assessments and their daily instruction were aligned with the Common Core standards and actually any standards that you may be working with. The great thing about this is that it can be used in any classroom and across any content area with any level of students that you may be working with. So in a nutshell, this is not only about the final product, which would be a coherent plan of instruction or a unit plan, but it's about the process that you go through while planning backwards. It's looking carefully at your curriculum, the documents in front of you, your standards. It's determining the end goal for students, which is to help them understand at a deeper level, to be able to apply the learning into new situations. Another key piece of this is the idea of evidence of understanding. We need to find ways for students to show us that they understand the knowledge and the skills that we are hoping that they walk away with. And that's only revealed through their actual performance. So we'll look at that within stage 2. And then finally, the whole idea is that this is planning backwards. First, we have to decide what it is we want students to be able to know and do, and from there, plan our daily instruction. So let's take a look at the 3 stages. Within stage 1, we're asking ourselves, what's worthy and requiring of understanding? Students have to have this big picture in mind if they're going to make sense of our lessons and then be able to transfer it to new situations. So if you look above on the slides here, there are the components listed within stage 1. We're looking at identifying our unit goals, these big ideas, making sure that it's framed in terms of important concepts, issues, themes, or strategies for students. There are essential questions and enduring understandings, those pieces of understanding that kids will walk out of the room with and be able to apply across content areas in new situations outside of the schoolhouse. And then finally, it is the discrete knowledge and skills that are embedded within the standards that we're working with. Part of this stage 1 process is not only identifying what students need to know and be able to do, but also thinking ahead to what misunderstandings or typical transfer deficits may be there. Predict those trouble spots and plan accordingly. This slide shows you just a template for stage 1 of the UBD design, and it's really about unpacking the standards. I always start with the discrete knowledge and skills. I read a standard that I'm working with, looking at it and saying, what is it? If kids are going to be able to meet this standard, what do they have to know and what do they have to be able to do? And from there, I ask myself the bigger question that goes along with the unit goal and enduring understandings. Why are we having kids know and do these things? What's the big purpose behind this? As you work through this with each of your standards, there are guides on the website to help you unpack your standards on the Common Core subpage. Once you've identified what it is you want students to know, to be able to do, what those unit goals and enduring understandings are that they're going to be walking away with and transferring to other content areas or other situations, we need to look at stage 2. What's the evidence of this understanding? How do we know that they've gotten there? And Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins break this into 2 different sets of assessments. The first and probably the most time-consuming but worthwhile activity would be to design a performance task. This allows you to see students applying what you've taught, to show their work, to justify it or support their performance and product. And this can be done through performance tasks that we'll take a look at, but also the 6 facets of understanding, one of the tools and resources there, can really help you to define what goes into your performance task. We're looking that they are applying this into new and varied realistic situations. And so it's not just one performance task, but probably other sources of evidence that you're going to gather along the way as well. We'll look at this continuum of assessments, the pre-assessment, what's happening prior to instruction, the formative assessments that may be within your unit, how are you progress monitoring kids throughout the unit and their continuing understandings, and then finally that summative assessment, which may be your performance task in the end. if you look here, I've kind of modified the original version of Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins' work and listed on the left-hand side under performance some of the higher level Bloom verbs and phrases here that kids should be applying their knowledge or skills. They should be able to analyze and synthesize the knowledge and skills. And then finally, that self-reflection or evaluation of these content and skills. You'll see on the right-hand side, under other forms, these are used throughout your unit. Remember, it's not just a snapshot of a student that we want. We want the full photo album that shows their story of understanding. So that could include, again, the pre-assessments before your instruction, formative assessments throughout your instruction, and then the summative assessments afterwards. The final stage in the Understanding by Design unit development is stage 3. And this is why it's called working backwards. We've identified what we want students to know. We've identified how we'll know that they're there. And now we can start to look at how do we get them there, the lesson plan. Oftentimes teachers jump to this saying, okay, here's what I need students to know. What's the lesson plan going to look like? And then thinking about the assessment piece. Within this unit design, it's really all about the desired results with the end in mind. How are kids going to show this? And now we look at how do we get them there. Some valuable resources in this planning stage would be looking at research-based learning and teaching strategies. What are the best practices for your content area? Looking for cross-curricular connections that could be made. And within this unit by design model, they have an acronym WHERE. So asking, where is this lesson going? How can I hook students? What opportunities will they have to explore or rethink the content or the skills and the knowledge that they're gaining? And how can they exhibit and evaluate those things? As you'll look, this portion of the template can be your daily lesson plans that you've now embedded into a unit plan. But it's truly aligning back to what's happened in stage 1, the desired results, and the stage 2 assessment, building so that kids can be successful on the performance tasks or other types of assessment you have in place.